Guys, the Georgia Bulldogs had arguably the worst half that I've ever seen them have under Kirby Smart. The first half was as bad as I've seen a Georgia team outside of Kirby Smart look maybe ever. Now, I'm not following it ever, or didn't follow it, okay, as a Georgia fan growing up, but I cannot visibly remember or mentally remember a game where they looked as bad as they did in the first half versus Alabama. I think the thing that will get missed in this because of Kirby Smart's just elite status, guys, both Georgia and Alabama were coming off a bye week, and it was Kalen DeBoer that schemed up Kirby Smart to get them out to a 28-0 lead. You don't go down 28-0 without that happening. Kalen DeBoer in the first half had Kirby Smart's number, and there wasn't anything he could do about it. Now, the turnovers were a big deal. The interceptions from Carson Beck, big deal. The bad decision-making from Mike Bobo is a big deal. Now, do I think that they can get it cleaned up? Maybe. Do I still think that they're looking for more playmakers offensively? Yeah, I am. Do they need to get a little bit more healthy? Yeah, they do. Tate Ravlich has got to come back. But that first half was about as bad as I'd ever seen this team ever be. Now, let's talk about the reality of the situation, because I know that there's a lot of people that are down on Georgia at the current moment, and a lot of you should, and a lot of you should be. But I look at the entire game in the four quarters. Guys, you were down 28-0. You know, if we're playing college football 25, it would have been the skunk rule, but this is reality. You know, you go down an 11-play drive in the second half or in the first half, and you get 7 points. And I think that that's really where the game changed. When Bobo started handing the football off and you started getting tough yardage, you know, Etienne had 3 carries on that drive that continued you. You know, the big third down run that he had that continued the drive. There were so many different things that they did. Because it is highly impressive to be down 28-0 and come back and take a lead the way that they did. Scratch the Ryan Williams catch at the end. Scratch it. And by the way, you had the ability to go in and tie it in the fourth quarter after you gave up the lead. You know, I feel like if I would have told Georgia fans before the game started in the fourth quarter with the last drive, you have a chance to go in not only to tie the game, but to win the game, I think a lot of people would have felt the same. You know, that's probably about right. Probably about right. This is going to be a dogfight in Tuscaloosa, which is a tough place to play. And that crowd and that environment, you overcame the adversity. You made multiple stops. Now, did Kalen DeBoer give you those chances? Did you make those stops? Yes. And you climbed back inch by inch, play by play, down by down. And I know that Kirby Smart is as coach speak when he's at the podium as anybody. But when you look at them going play by play, it was a big deal. But I got to admit, man, Carson Beck had a really bad game to his standards. Now, were there a lot of really good things that Carson Beck did? 100%. 1,000%. I mean, guys, you don't throw for almost 500 yards. I mean, 439 yards is where he had it or where he ended. You don't throw for that much and not make big plays. Now, you were pretty much going 4 verts and making your weapons on the outside make plays, and they couldn't stop it with their young DBs. There may be an opportunity where you play again where you're going to be able to exploit that. But, man, Carson Beck's inability to read coverages in the first half is what ultimately, in my opinion, cost them a game. I mean, he didn't lose them the game because here's another thing, too. Carson Beck didn't give up all 28 of those points. The turnovers were bad, yes. The fumble was bad, yes. But the 28 points that you gave up in that first half is not on him. So you couldn't even keep contained on Alabama. That's not on Carson Beck. Alabama coming down on the first drive of the game and getting 7, that's not on Carson Beck. So there's a lot of things that got to be cleaned up that I thought you cleaned up during the game. Now, I know that this is going to feel like to Georgia fans like, man, maybe we aren't as good. Maybe we would have started to beat Bama when Saban left. And the question is how are you going to respond? Now, I will tell all of you that you don't respond the way that you did without great culture and great leadership and great coaching. You just don't. So all the stuff that's happening off the field with the reckless driving and all that, yes, it's got to stop. 100% has to stop. But it doesn't change how that locker room is operating on a daily basis. Last thing here. I don't feel like you played Georgia football. I don't. I feel like I looked at a team in Georgia that gave up on the even remote chance of throwing the football. I feel like you went in there with a game plan of let's let Carson Beck throw it all over the place, and you abandoned the running game. Guys, on your first scoring drive, Trevor Etienne had over 20 yards on the drive carrying the football. Now, were there times that he was stopped? Yeah, but you're playing Alabama. It's not like those aren't going to happen. But the inability that you had and the simple fact that Alabama held you to 80 rushing yards is not good enough. Your identity, you didn't go in there trying to play your game. And I think that that's what ultimately bit you.